קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת שעשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית את עבדך. כי מקלי אהבה תתייבם, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. כי מקלי אהבה תתייבם, אתה הייתי לשני מחנות, הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. This is when a song like this shows up in the Parshat, you have to sing it. It's from this Parshat. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת שעשית את עבדך. קטונתי אשר עשית לעבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת שעשית עם עבדך. קטונתי מכל החסדים ומכל האמת אשר עשית לעבדך. כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי בשני מחנות. הצילני נא, צילני נא, הצילני נא. כי במקלי עברתי את הירדן, אתה הייתי בשני מחנות. הצילני נא, צילני נא, הצילני נא. דו 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 דו. הצילני נא, הצילני נא, הצילני נא. Such a powerful niggun.
Thank you.
Such a beautiful niggun. Yeah, Jonathan. That's Jonathan's niggun, beautiful niggun. All right, thank you so much for coming, everyone. We have and welcome back to Amy and Tzeit Cham Shalom to Mindy. It should be fast and healthy and a good trip. A good trip. We have something really, really a very sweet and beautiful learning tonight, and not too crazy, not too nuts, but I think that it's a very healthy shiur. Like we need, it'll be very healthy for us to really dig deep into the text that we have tonight. But before that, we just sang right now from the Parsha. Yaakov Avinu says, Ki v'makli avarti et hayarden, atayiti lishnei machanot. He's telling this, he's praying, he's like, save me from my brother, hatzileni na, please save me, please save me. I think I once heard in the dynasty of Slonim that one of the words Yaakov Avinu uses in this phrase is what you and I use in our tefillahs at the end of the day, whether we're conscious of it or not. What word is that? Makel. Kivim makli avarti et hayarden hazeh. I crossed over this Jordan b'makli, with my makel. And in Slonim they say that a Jew goes through anything he has to go through in this world with his makel. What's a Jew's makel? What does makel mean in English? Staff, a rod, a stick, right? So in Slonim they say that a makel is a Rashi Tevot, is an acronym for something. What does it stand for? My favorite 3 words in Shmona Esrei. To the end of Modim Anachnu Lach, we say, Hatov ki lochal rachamecha v'mrachem ki lo tamu chasadecha. Why? Why do we believe that your chesed never ends? Me'olam kivinu lach. Me'olam kivinu lach. Forever. We have been hoping just for you is the Rashi Tevot, is the acronym for a makel, a staff, a stick. Perfect timing. Shalom Aleichem. And how do you use a stick in this world? You lean on it. You mamish lean on it. So what does that mean? What does that mean that you lean on your makel in this world? So we need to lean on that which we say we believe in. To mamish lean on it. And me'olam kivinu lach means that we've forever been hoping that it would just be you that shows me how much you love me, God. And Yaakov Avinu is saying this, Kivim makli avarti et hayarden hazeh, with my makel, with my own me'olam kivinu lach, with my own prayer, the prayer which never doubted you taking care of me, Hashem, that is what got me through the Jordan. That's what's going to get me through anything. Ki me'olam kivinu lach, because I was always hoping just for you, no matter what I went through. That's my makel that I nishanan. That's my stick that I am leaning on. So tonight, what we're going to be doing is trying to understand what is it that you and I actually think is going to be taking place. What do we think is like happening on the other side of the Jordan? What do we think is actually going to be, what is it that we are truly hoping for when we say, I believe in the coming of the Mashiach, or that I believe that I can conquer Esau? What does that mean? What's on the other side? What is really that which I'm always hoping and praying for? And that's always ki me'olam kivinu lach, that I've always held dear into my heart. Now, in order to understand this, what it is that tonight's shir has a very interesting title, but I think it's a very healthy title. It could be depressing, but we'll hopefully get through the depression and reach a place of an optimistic view at the end of the shir. The shir's title is, have you had the chance to dream big? Have you ever had the chance to dream big? Now, one thing is, you ever notice that we generally don't let ourselves, we consciously don't let ourselves dream big out of fear of being let down and out of fear of not reaching whatever I'm dreaming. Because the fear of not reaching what I'm, for dreaming big, sometimes mamish doesn't let me dream at all. So tonight we're going to be talking about, as Am Yisrael, have we had the chance to dream big? And through Yaakov Avinu, who is still the star of our Parsha, and he's really the star of the Torah, we'll hopefully understand why we haven't been able yet as a people to truly, truly dream big. But furthermore, what does it mean to dream big? What does it mean to really dream big? And what's the fear behind it? So, I want to share with you was it last week? Yeah, last week. Were any of you at the Moskowitz bris last week? So did you see that there was like a little film crew there?
Yeah.
So do you know who that was? Did you see Daniel, were you there at the bris? Did you see that film crew? Did I tell you who that was? So there's this producer from Hollywood. His name is Salvador Litvak. He has a huge blog now. He has a huge Facebook following called The Accidental Talmudist. Check it out afterwards. Really amazing guy. He did a movie that my father, together with Yehuda Salman, actually starred in for a little bit years ago called When Do We Eat? About a very dysfunctional family getting together for the Seder table. Did you see that one? No? And one of the children slips a tab into the father's drink and he starts hallucinating during Shulchan Aruch, and my father shows up in a dream singing chazanas, dressed like a baker. You didn't? Oh, you got to see that.
Would you please post that link?
I have to find. Yeah. You got to see it. It's a very interesting movie. It's a great movie. Anyway, this guy is a fantastic guy. And he called me about 2 months ago, and he said he's coming here. It's a long story. Just go on the blog to see what it's all about. And he came and he took a few educators and rabbis and scholars for a day in their lives, and talked about God, and talked about how is it easy to just be close today, and how do you talk to the average person who, to them the concept of being close to God is such a foreign concept. So I spent the day with him all over Efrat, like 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. It was very interesting. I never wore makeup. That was interesting. I had makeup on me all day long. That was pretty funny. I forgot about it for a while. Then when I came home, Bina was like, "You got to take that off." So that was kind of interesting. I took him all over, and one of the places I said, "Look, I got to get to this bris." So he came to the bris, and at the bris, our friend Avi's son-in-law Yoni had asked the singing mohel. You guys know the singing mohel, right? Yeah. Ben Yishai Chote. That also sounds like a movie, the singing mohel. Yeah, he should have starred in that When Do We Eat man movie.
He could star in movies.
He's amazing. When Do We Bris? So he had planned with the mohel, the father of the boy, planned right before the kid was circumcised. So the mohel starts singing, ay, 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 ay. Before you can call him a man, right? blowing in the wind right before, right? What do you got to do to be called a man? The kid's about to get, circumcised. So my friend he thought this was the coolest bris, and it worked out perfect. So make a long story short, I'll just bring it back home now, because something actually really nice I want to get to in learning too. But we went out then the last night of this whole programming of the filming. He had a whole crew with him. The whole crew was here and also with me, and he brought a whole crew, and they reserved a spot in a restaurant in Yerushalayim, this dairy place called Piccolino, I think. Whatever it is, on Shlom Zion, on Yoel Solomon Street. And he had a bunch of people that he had interviewed, and a few other very special, just big thinkers come and sit around a table while we're all wired and makeup again. And he had us all kind of like, it was on camera, and we were going to just converse throughout the night. And he would bring up a topic and each of us would speak. Rabbi David Aaron was there. He said some just mind-blowing if you know anything about him, he just pushes you to really think much bigger than what you're accustomed to. And it's very, very beautiful, very healthy. Just to be around him is always very, very healthy and a great privilege. And a few other very, very special people, just tremendous people. I'm not going to go into each one right now, but one of the questions which he started off the evening has to do with tonight's shir, and I've been thinking about it since it happened last week, where he said he wanted to know, what do you guys think, he said, has the Jewish mission evolved? That was like the first question he asked. That's like on the first date, like asking a girl, like, how many kids do you want? Like, that's a very big, you don't ask, that's not the first question you ask. That's a very loaded question, just to, get things going. Has the Jewish mission evolved at all? And we're all in dead silence, so the cameras have to, we paused, we stopped. That'd be pretty awkward. He asked the question, and we're all like, and all of us are saying, oh, please don't ask, not me, don't tell me that, don't ask me the question. And we started rolling, and we started to really go through it. Now, what do you think the first answer back would be? The question to answer him back would be, you have to define what's the Jewish mission in the world. Now, what do you think most people had said as a first answer? What's the Jewish mission in the world? What would you think?
Spread Torah.
Well, it's these two words in Hebrew that everyone uses. Well, kind of, or lagoim. To be a light unto the nations. That's what, many people were saying that's like a first mission. So I had told him a few days before that, when he was here filming, I said to him, because he spent a lot of time asking me that question, like, how do you see Or Lagoim taking place in the world? I said to him, and it was like the day after Har Nof. So I said to him, do you know why I'm angry right now? I said to him, you know why I'm angry when I think about this question? If we've become more Or Lagoim, I said to him, because I don't feel that as a people, we've really, really had a chance to focus on that consciously. Because we're constantly always trying to figure out how to just stay alive. And what I would love for us to be able to do is to have the time to really be or to really consciously work towards becoming a light to the nations. But when you're so busy surviving, you don't have time to consciously become an Or Lagoim. Look for us, like, what, so last Monday night when we met, half hour before we met, 2 Yidden were stabbed coming out of the yeshiva in the Muslim quarter. This morning, 5 minutes from us, another Jew was stabbed. Now, it didn't drive us all nuts because it was only a light injury, but can you imagine, like I come from LA, imagine Pico Robertson, if a Jew got stabbed in his neck and he was just like a tiny little white light wound in one of his hairs, the place would go nuts, right? But our mind is so forcefully just, I feel like almost like, I'm going to say a very heavy word, well maybe I won't say, but we don't have the leisure to really be what could be the true Jewish mission in the world, which would be to evolve as an Or Lagoim, to be a light unto the nations. Part of becoming a light unto people, unto the world, that reflective light, is that when someone looks at you and they can say about you, wow, that person thinks big. That person dreams big. They think much bigger than just the Dalit Amot that are in front of them. That person dreams big. For me, when I get caught in moments of anxiety, which I go through a lot, nothing to do with Dafka right now with this Palestine-Israeli conflict. I'm just saying in general. Like one of the things I have a lot is I get very anxious when it comes to the concept of time and being maspeak. Speak. How do you say how would you say that in English? Like speak enough to get it all in time. I get very anxious. I have a lot. There's always a lot going on. I get very anxious. And one of the things that I always think about is that the world is so much bigger right now than my little anxiety attack right now. Like my tiny little anxiety thing. The world is so much bigger than this. And in fact, no one's life is going to be destroyed. And everyone will be able to go to sleep tonight. If I just think a little bit bigger and realize it's not worth the anxiety. Nothing will come out of it. You're not fulfilling any obligation, and you're not finishing a job by becoming anxious. But any moment in my life that I could afford to think bigger and to dream bigger than that which my time-bound consciousness forces me to, I have the whole world in my hands at that moment. I have the whole world in my hands. How often I get stuck in the moment where I might not be disciplining my child in a way that if I was just calm, I would. Do I think, oh my God, I'm ruining their life right now for eternity. I'm messing them up for their whole life. That's just my little constricted mind thinking that in the moment. But when I get a little breath of like, wait a second, the world is bigger and tomorrow exists and the next moment exists. And look at a child. They're not holding on to a second ago. They're in right now. They were crying, now they're fine. Kids, when they fight with someone and they become friends with them again, they're not holding on to, well, I'm going to pull out that card of, you really bothered me a few minutes ago, now I'm going to dish it out. Children naturally think big. For some reason, the older we get, the less big we think, the less big we dream. But as a nation, I don't know if we've really had an opportunity to dream big. And Baruch and I have the privilege of learning Orot Teshuvah in the mornings. By the way, all the students online and those who are going to learn this afterwards, whoever would like to have those shiurim sent to them 3 times a week, I'm happy to. Just those are also recorded. Email me and I'll send you those links to these shiurim. And Rav Kook's whole, beauty, his beautiful way of describing Teshuvah is truly to think, to really breathe deeper, breathe bigger, think, live in a bigger world. Get out of any box that you put yourself in. That's real Teshuvah. Realizing the world is bigger. And it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to consciously always be able to think bigger. However, when you ask yourself, do you really me'olam kivinu lach makel? Do you have a makel? Do you have a staff in this world that you could lean on? What are you leaning on in your belief? Are you leaning on very small dreams? Are you leaning on, I have belief that I'll just be able to get through the day? Or am I leaning on a much deeper staff, a much deeper makel? And when I say makel, I mean your own emunah, me'olam kivinu lach. What is that you're hoping for? What are you leaning on? For us, our problem is that we really haven't had the chance to lean on something really great in the world. We're just always trying to lean on getting through the day. Subconsciously, I'm always praying for Mashiach to come. But I don't even know what that means. I barely know what it means to live in peace before Mashiach comes. Whatever that meaning is. So Yaakov Avinu is the one who really brings us to a place of being able to dream big. To dream really big. And that's what we're going to be seeing tonight. So, we're actually, in the last few weeks we haven't gotten through any text, but it was very important for me to go through this. A piece of this is in Even Shlomo. Here, does anyone need more?
One page, yeah.
It's one page back, yeah, both sides.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone has? Okay. Flow with me. Rabbi Shlomo says like this. Everything which I am longing for, I am connected to. If I wouldn't be connected to it, I wouldn't be longing for it. What does that mean? If I miss someone very much, it's because of my connection to them. Meaning to say, I can only really miss something, I can only want something on a deep level that I am connected to, that I have an understanding of. So I'm just going to throw out a really hard question right now. Do we really long for Mashiach to come? Don't you have to know what Mashiach times are like in order to long for it? In order to really want it? What do you think?
Well, we have an idea.
I have no
So-
idea.
No, we have a neshama. The neshama knows on some level, I think.
But forget the neshama for a second. What about the faculties which we work with consciously all day long?
I
Yes,
think
we
we're
long
longing
for it.
for the opposite of what we're living through now.
Right, but that doesn't really describe what... We don't know what the opposite is. We just know it's not what's in front of
We
us
don't
right
want
now.
what's going on now. We want something
Right,
better.
we don't-
so
right.
We're longing for something better.
We're longing for something better, but that's not really enough to feel connected to whatever that something is.
I don't know what Mashiach is. I believe that ultimately it'll be better than we have now. But I'm not sure that it won't be harder nor painful. It's for sure scary while it's developing. I
Well,
don't
that's
know.
we're in it.
Right, and I don't know how quick or how long. I know we're in it. We hope we're in it. Everybody thought they were in it. Rabbi Kiva thought they were in it. So I don't know.
That gets scary when you say things like that. You know, I get
Because
so
he thought
freaked out.
Bar Kokhba was Mashiach. He
Right.
made a mistake, the greatest of the greatest.
Right.
So that's why I can't possibly personally figure out any of this.
That's why we come here.
Enlightenment.
To hear from me that I have no idea. Yeah. Okay, you know what? I should not have opened that session up for questions. Yeah, I'm going to have Rabbi Shlomo lead us right now, okay? Stop for a second. I will say, though, one thing in honor of Yehudit, in honor of all of us, any of us that have a kesher to the Rebbe. The Rebbe was so big on learning what Mashiach times are all about. You know, all the Rambam's works on, you know, what Mashiach is all about, because I think he wanted us to truly long for it. And how do you truly long for something? By learning what the world, what life will be like. But like we said before, I don't know if we really had a time that we've had the leisure, we've had the chance, that we've had the comfort zone to only be focusing on that. It's almost like we're always just trying to wipe out evil, but we don't have the chance. Okay, evil's wiped out. Now we're getting ready. Now it's like the 3 days before Matan Torah. Now we're getting our clothes cleaned, and we're cleansing out everything else. We just don't have the time for it. You know, it's almost like we think, well, we're not going to have any quiet time before Mashiach comes. There's going to be crazy war, bloodshed, more pain, more pain, more pain, more pain, and before the credits come, amazing sequel. And that's, you know, it's not just, you know, to be continued. It's like you don't have to even wait. You're going right into it right away. But it's such a crazy way of thinking about how things are going to be. Okay, let's continue. Rabbi Shlomo says like this: take a person who is searching for God. Is it because he is without God that he is searching for God? Or is he searching for him because he is close to God? This is like a very, very deep, deep line. I'm going to say this again, okay? I want you all to read this again inside. Take a person who is searching for God. Is it because he is without God that he's, you know, usually you search for something when you can't find it, right? Or is he searching for him because he is so close to God? If you wouldn't be so close, you wouldn't be searching for him. So that's a very, I want to explain this. I'm going to try to explain this. This is like, when I first learned this, it changed my whole outlook on like the searcher. You know, as opposed to other things in the world, until I have it, I don't have it. But when it comes to searching for the Ribbono Shel Olam, the more I search for it, the more I actually have it. It's a very weird thing. Look, and my phone is behind this computer screen, right? So the more I'm looking for it, right? So the more, every second that I'm looking for it, and I don't see it, I don't have it, right? But lahavdil elef milyonei havdalot, from an iPhone and the Ribbono Shel Olam, every second, the reason why I keep on looking is because I can sense closer and closer and closer that I'm getting closer and closer. And I just want to see that which I'm searching for in every department of my life. When it comes to God, there's no such thing as I have found it. And if someone ever told you, I found God and I found the truth in 1990, you run as far away as you can from that kind of a person. What does that mean? You found God. You found the truth. Every day is an opportunity to find God, to find the truth. What Rabbi Shlomo is saying, a searcher of God doesn't mean that he's far from God and therefore he's searching. It means that if you weren't close to God, you wouldn't bother searching for the Ribbono Shel Olam in the first place. Alright? Now, Rabbi Shlomo is now explaining this better. Now imagine I marry a girl who I met, and everything about our marriage is the way I was dreaming about it. It sounds like a beautiful marriage. Like, imagine like before you go on a shidduch date, okay, you have the list of all the things that you know exactly. You told the shadchan you're looking for. You told the shadchan, listen, I want her to look like this and dress like this when I meet her in the Ramada lobby, and she has to sit with her legs crossed for the first 40 minutes and, ask me questions about my grandfather's lineage for the next 20 minutes. Imagine all those things add up. Whatever it is, right? Whatever your criteria are for like an exciting marriage, to each their own, okay? Whatever it is. Then, like every other shlav in this marriage that you have, it's like, oh yeah, that's, when I was younger, I really always wanted it to be like this. Then when it happens like that, so, okay, like where's the search? Where's the search for seeing how much deeper it could be? Rabbi Shlomo's not knocking it. He's saying, Alavai, everyone should feel like they got what they dreamt for. But who dares to dream big? Dreaming big means, God, one day I want to find my zivug. And when I find her, every few weeks and every few months, I want to feel like I have no idea who this person is, and I want to keep on being surprised all the time. I want to keep on seeing you, God, in our marriage, in our relationship, in our experiencing of life, and everything that I'm going through. But if a person says, wow, I just want a girl, and I imagine it'll feel like that. I want it to just feel like that. When we say that, when we laugh, I want it to feel like that. Where do you go to? Where's the growth? Where's the search? So Rabbi Shlomo says, imagine I marry a girl who I met, and everything about our marriage is the way I was dreaming about it. It sounds like a beautiful marriage. But can you imagine a marriage that in your wildest dreams you never believed could be so good, and yet it really is this good? I don't know if you've seen this, but when the most sarcastic comments are made in the world? They're always made by older couples while giving brachas to newlyweds. Did you ever notice that? You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. No, you don't know what I'm talking about? They always throw in some kind of a cynical comment on remember that time we were learning it, we were discussing this really deeply in Shir, and this concept of always feeling new, and some guy said, I've been married to my wife for, I don't know what he said, 5 years, 10 years, and it feels like 5 minutes. And everyone was like, wow. And then he said, underwater. But that's been so there's this sense of none of us really believe that it could be that divine and that beautiful. Today I was speaking to a friend of ours down south, and he was talking, he's married to his wife for 21 years. And the way he spoke about his wife was so like, not dreamy, but so much bigger than the way people usually think about marriages, you know? Anyway, but this is I want to just, if we don't understand this paragraph, we can't continue. He says, like, imagine a girl you marry and she just lives up to the dreams that you had. But what about imagining it? Did you ever let yourself imagine that it could be mamish bigger and more Gan Eden like never before? Did you ever imagine that? You ever let yourself go there? When do we stop imagining that it could be really blissful? When do you think we stop imagining? When do you think we start dreaming much less when it comes to marriage? At what point? No, you're all big dreamers, huh?
If you stop, then that's the end of the dream then. If you don't dream big, then that's the end of it, no?
Kind of, yeah. I guess so.
I think so.
I guess so. I don't know. Well, we'll have an opportunity to crack, to in the next few minutes, to really crack through this big illusion and this big darkness. So the Ishbitzer says like this. There are the children of Rachel and the children of Leah. And who, by the way, when Yaakov approaches Esau in this war, and Esau resembles all the power of Tumah in this world. Now Esau is a strong character. He's not an idiot. He's one of the smartest people that ever lived. Esau shows up. He has the kochos of the klipa of Tumah. Imagine like the power of all the holiness in the world, and then imagine the umatze against that, all the power of Tumah in the world. That's the strength of a person that we're talking about. And the strength of cynicism and sarcasm plays such a really demented and destructive force in the world. I'm talking about that force that goes against dreams, and that goes against the belief that beauty and bliss could happen. Like, remember, when Esau meets Yaakov, what's the first question he asks him when he looks at all his children? He says, Mi eila lefanecha? Mi eila lach? Who is this? Rabbi Shlomo says he was asking him, like, what are you, running some kind of kindergarten? Why would you schlep your kids with you? What's wrong with you? And Rabbi Shlomo said that's the nekuda between Esau and Yaakov. That Esau couldn't fathom. He couldn't believe that Yaakov Avinu would feel so connected to his own children, that he would take such close care of them. Esau couldn't understand that. He says, to be powerful in this world, you don't schlep around with children. You're here to fight a war. How are you going to have time to fight a war? So that's like the nekuda of the machloket, is that Esau looks at everything that's precious to Yaakov. He says, what is this to you? What, are you kidding me? So, it's like Reb Shlomo once said about the difference between Yaakov and Esau is that v'alu moshim b'har Tzion lishpot et har Esau. That one day, that Esau eventually, he got a big mountain, and Yaakov Avinu, he ended up, the Torah talks about that he went back to his children after this meeting that they had between them. So all the tzaddikim say, after such an amazing moment in Jewish history, Esau goes back to such a big mountain, and Yaakov Avinu goes back to his children. He says, exactly. If you ask Esau, do you have real estate? He says, do I have real estate? I have Har Seir. I have such a great, big, conquering mountain. You ask Yaakov Avinu, do you have real estate? Yaakov Avinu says, do I have real estate? Look at my 13 kinderlach. Do I have real estate? Boy, do I have real estate. I sure do. So the nekuda of the machloket between Yaakov and Esau is really, how could this stuff which seems so meaningless in such a powerful dog-eat-dog world, how could this actually mean something to you? For real, how do these little things mean something to you? Okay, so this is the point, was that Yaakov comes with all his children. Now Reb Shlomo says like this: the children of Rachel are the children What do they resemble? Why do you need them? What do they do in our world? What were they doing in Yaakov Avinu's life? The children of Rachel are the children who keep up that which you are longing for. Okay, so what does that mean? They keep up all the things that you have to be connected to, that you know it's important in life. Now, by the way, who are the children of Rachel? Yosef and Binyamin. Yosef is the tzaddik, always working and learning, and Binyamin is what? What's in the chalik of Binyamin? What's in the portion of the land of Binyamin? Beis Hamikdash, avoda. Working for God in this world, the things that I can connect to. What is Leah all about? Leah is the mother of Mashiach, right? How do we know that? Yehuda. Yehuda comes from Leah. David HaMelech comes from Leah, from Yehuda. What is it that Mashiach is bringing to us? Something which we are longing for? And Rabbi Shlomo is forcing us right now to be really real with ourselves. When you say, Ani ma'amin b'emunah shleima v'yasa Mashiach, do you really, really hope for that to happen like you hope for your husband or your wife to bring home a fat paycheck this month on the same level? For real? A fat paycheck means less stress. It means a bigger piece of meat in the cholent, or a nicer piece of tofu in your tofu salad for the hippie chaver, right? Whatever it means, right? That I could long for. That's something that, that's what that means. When you say, I long for the Mashiach, do you understand that wanting the Mashiach to come and understanding what it is that you're asking for requires you to think and dream so much bigger than however you were thinking up until now. It requires you, it forces you out of your box. Rav Kook shows us through Teshuvah how you realign your thinking and your imagining and your dreams. It's the only way you could really, really long for Mashiach to come, if you want to long for a level of connecting to it. Because whatever it's going to be so much bigger, so much more beautiful, and so much deeper than whatever it means to us right now. Like Yehudit was saying, if maybe some of us imagine Mashiach coming, that's like, we say it's more like the opposite of whatever we have this Mishigas right now. So that's true, and it's also nothing close to what it really is. It's so much more. It's so much bigger. Like a lot of people envision marriage. I want to be married. And when you ask someone before they're married, what is it like? How do you see marriage? What would they probably say? They dream, we'll be very, compatible. We'll grow together, and we'll have, we'll laugh. We'll laugh at the same things. We'll learn Shabbos morning. That lasts usually like the first few months of Shana Rishona, and then hopefully rekindles at a certain point. But very rarely are the couples that are able to keep up with those big things, those beautiful things. But really, why don't you shoot for the stars? Why don't you say, our marriage is going to heal the whole world? Zusha stood up at our Sheva Brachos in the Moshav, and he looked at us, and he said something that it really puts the fear of heaven into me quite often. He says, Rabbi Shlomo said, all it's going to take, and he didn't go into detail, he just said, all it's going to take is one couple to mamish get their acts together. And then he said, and I was praying, he didn't say, he said, and we're counting on you. And I was just let me know that the concept exists. Don't put it on me. I'm married 3.5 days, But every time, like, I just think of the schus of being married and the children and our family and life, it's always like, wow, if I let myself really dream big that one couple's love can heal the whole planet, I maybe am more in tune with all that Hashem wants to give me in the world. And it's good to go outside of the text for a second. When we think right now about what does Hashem want to give me, we always say, if I was a good boy, then maybe I could imagine that Hashem would give me this and Hashem would give me that. So until I get my act together, I can't really dream that I'll have all that goodness in my life. That's so pathetic, because whatever you think God wants to give you, that doesn't come close to what God really, is offering you every single second. This is something we've learned many, many times. Our job in this world is just to clean out and clean off our old pieces of herring on our plate so that God can put a new, fresh piece of herring on our plate. The whole job here isn't to try to make something exist that doesn't exist. It's just to move off from the plate all my stubbornness of this is the way things work, and this is what God is, and this is how He works in this world. So you see, Rachel, the children of Rachel, they represent that which you always have to consciously work on and believe that good things will come to those who are loyal to God. Leah says to you, that's also true, but she says something deeper. She says, whatever you think is beautiful in the world, it could be so much more beautiful. It is so much bigger than whatever you think. Look at me and my zivug. Yaakov Avinu didn't even know he was marrying me. And what came out of our union? Mashiach. What we just said right now is one of the deepest Kabbalistic concepts that exist in our tradition. That Mashiach comes from a place that you least expect it, like marrying a woman that you don't even realize that she's the one that you're marrying. That's where Mashiach comes from. The biggest dreams in the world comes from places that you'd never think in a million years they would come from that place. And go to the origins of Mashiach. On a physical level, on a genealogical level, where's Mashiach's lineage from? Lot. From Lot, from Zdom. And this concept keeps on showing up. Yehuda and Tamar, all the instances of where Mashiach comes from is always the place that you'd least expect it. Now, I realize that we're already very late. I want you to. I'm just going to give this over the rest right now. We'll continue reading this for a few more minutes. What is Leah all about? Leah is the mother of Mashiach. What is it that Mashiach is bringing to us? Something which we are longing for? No. The children of Leah are bringing us something which we never dreamt of. Yes, we are longing for Mashiach to come. But as much as I hope he's coming, the day he comes will be so beyond however I imagined it. By the way, what's the closest example we have to feeling this in this world? That as much as I anticipated something when it happened, it surpassed anything I could ever dream of. That moment, right. So how do we build these concepts inside of us? And now hopefully we'll get a chance to start dreaming bigger, okay? The Gemara says that when we come to the Holy Land, we have 3 mitzvahs to do. You remember this, right? There's 3 mitzvahs you do when you come to Eretz Yisrael. The first mitzvah is Som Tasim Alecha Melech. Appoint for yourself a king. The second is to wipe out evil, right? Amalek. And the third, Binyan Beis HaBechira, building Beis HaMikdash. These are the 3 mitzvahs, and the order as to which, the way that they happen is very important. It plays a very strong and important role here. The first king so the Ishbitzer says like this. Who was the first king? The first king we appointed was Shaul HaMelech, who was from the children of Rachel, from the tribe of Binyamin, right? Shaul was from Shevet Binyamin. They come from the children of Rachel. Why do we need a king to wipe out evil? The Ishbitzer says we're not talking about retail evil, we're talking about wholesale evil, the roots of evil. The root of evil is when evil comes and tells you, don't kid yourself. You don't belong in holiness, you're out of the picture. This is pure evil, wholesale evil. And by the way, Rabbi Shlomo says somewhere else, that this is what Esau was really telling Yaakov in this meeting between them. He looks at them, at the kids and all this beautiful family, and Esau says to Yaakov, come on, who knows you better than your own brother? I know you. And we both know that if you had the chance to party so hard like me, but instead you got married Shana Aleph and everything was thrown onto you, you didn't have a chance to breathe in life. Really, if you had the chance to just be a free soul, you would go nuts just like me. Come on, this is not a real act. That's evil. That's mamish, the roots of evil. So now the Ishbitzer quotes the Gemara, which says that a melech poretz geder. A king extends the borders. This is a melech. What kind of borders are we talking about? So just before the text, literally a king can come and say that if they want to conquer more land, a king has the ability to extend the borders of a country. Whether he's right or wrong, it's regardless. But when it comes to Eretz Yisrael, obviously the more the borders extend, the more the Kedusha also increases as well. And it keeps on going out more and more. The more it's connected to the land, the more the borders go out, it becomes more and more holy. That's why giving back the Sinai, by the way, was such a problem. Because let's say that that's not really Eretz Yisrael according to the Bible. What's the problem? Is that it inherited the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael because it was conquered and connected to the land of Israel. That's why it wasn't so simple to just give it back. Even though it's been, all of us love visiting Cairo and Alexandria, and it feels so nice to have such beautiful emotional ties with the Egyptians, obviously. Look how cynicism sneaks up in here too. Anyway, it's not such a simple thing. A king extends the borders. Rabbi Shlomo says, what kind of borders are we talking about? Some of us think that the borders of holiness go to a certain point and Nebuch Mi is left on the other side. So the king comes and he extends the borders and says, I'm sorry, you're still in it. You're still connected to holiness. Hate to break it to you. You didn't get out of here. The borders reach you too. Evil comes and tells you you're out of it. You thought you could take on this life of holiness. But a king doesn't let you off the hook. This is a very important piece. Because how many times from a real place did we take on something and after a while we said, this really isn't for me. Who am I kidding? Let me first learn all of that and then I'll be that. Let me first really act like that and then I could take on all those things. It didn't really reach me. A king, if we had a king, like we had the Rebbe, right? Rebbe was a king. You go to the Rebbe feeling like the lowest piece of dirt in the world, or whatever it was, the Rebbe had a way to extend the borders of Kedusha into your own life as well. That's what real kings are, real leaders. Why are we in such pain? Well, feeling like we're an orphan generation because we don't have anybody to extend our own borders and tell us, no, you're still in. You fell a little bit, you got a little schmutzig, it's okay. You're still in. Kedusha reaches you too. And look what he says here. Where is our mother Rachel buried, right? The mother of the first king. By the borders of Israel. V'shavu banim ligvulam. She brings her children back to the borders, meaning by extending the borders. She brings them back and said, no, you're still part of Kedusha. She is guarding the children that they shouldn't step out from the borders. And if they do, she brings them back. This is what the first king of Israel, Shaul, was all about. So, you appoint a king. That's the first level of coming into Eretz Yisrael. The second level is, you wipe out evil. But then what happens to you? Okay. I don't know if we've reached this place as an Am yet, since we came back to Israel. I'll share with you the most puzzling place of Emunah that I have personally. My biggest struggle with Emunah is the fact that we're still going through what we're going through after the 6 million. Like that to me is the hardest thing that plays with my faith very often. I'm not embarrassed to say it because it's very real. It's a very real pain. In other words, you think that after such evil and cruelty showed its face in humanity and in this world, and we went through so much, that we would be able to wipe that evil out. It's gone from the world. And then we're coming back to Eretz Yisrael. And the third thing happens, which is what? Now it's time to build, now it's this time to prosper. Now it's this time to build Beis HaMikdash. The hardest thing for me is to fathom the fact that in 1948, 1% of the Jewish population was killed in the war. 6,000 Jews, many of them survivors of the German camps, were killed in 1947-48. That to me is just such a wild. I'm thinking like, don't we have a chance finally now to start dreaming big? And dreaming big is much more than just dreaming about a nice country, and it's nice, it's beautiful. We have a country, and there's a lot of hidden magic in here, which still needs to be mamish yanked out. The beauty within having a state of our own. But the problem that I always get stuck with is, when are we going to have a chance to just be focusing on dreaming big and being in the Mashiach zone? Because it says like this, you have to appoint a king, so I don't know when that happens. And then wiping out evil is, I'm not sure when that's taken place. And then it says, then you build the Beis HaMikdash. And these are the three things that have to happen when you come back to Eretz Yisrael. When have we had a chance to fulfill any of these three? So we did have one chance for one of them. And we blew it big time. Yeah. In 1967, we mamish had the chance of all chances to begin the process. And it's a very heavy thing that we're still going through this and suffering tremendously because of this need to be like all other nations, when the only reason we came back to Eretz Yisrael is to appoint for ourselves a king, to wipe out evil, and then dream big. 6 million should have been enough for anyone to feel the desire to start dreaming really, really big. So Rabbi Shlomo says, do you know what it's going to feel like, though, when you do take care of the first two things? This is amazing. So you appoint a king, wipe out evil, but then what happens to you? Rabbi Shlomo says, you know what happens to you when you take care of the first two things? You discover something which you never knew existed inside you before. King David is from the tribe of Yehuda, who was from the children of Leah. David HaMelech could only be appointed after Shaul was king and after Shaul fought Amalek, which are the first two criterias of coming into the land. The appointment of a king and that king fighting Amalek. Only then was King David discovered. Why so? So Rabbi Shlomo says like this, and we're ending with this. You see, there is a holiness I am connected to, that even while I am evil, I'm aware of it. I may not live up to it, but I know it exists. Meaning, some of us, while we're getting so stuck in this world, these worldly matters, and I'm working hard on myself, but I keep on falling, even though I'm still stuck with my own evil, my own mishigas, when I talk Lashon Hara, I'm kind of aware of how bad, I feel so bad. I'm so angry at myself. Like how many of us consciously do Averas, and what freaks us out is that we're not unaware of what it's doing to us. We're so aware of it, and we can't believe that we're consciously harming ourselves. Very heavy thing. So that, Reb Shlomo says, is a Kedusha that I'm aware of even while I'm not living up to it. Like someone said to me a few months ago, a friend of mine in New York said, she said to me, her and her husband both said to me, he said, I asked them, why didn't you ever connect to this other spiritual leader? How did you always connected to Reb Shlomo? Like, why weren't you drawn by other people? So they said to me, we know that we're not living up to wherever we could live up to. But that doesn't mean for 1 second that we would ever be persuaded by something that's not emes to us, that's not truth to us. Regardless of where I am and how I'm struggling right now, truth is truth. So Reb Shlomo says that's one level of truth, of a connection. That you're connected to something that you might not feel so close to, but at least you know it exists. So what is it? What do we feel very close to? We feel close to Eretz Yisrael. Those of us that are here, and yes, many of us that aren't here yet. Feel very close. How many times do I walk the streets of the world? People always say, yeah, we know we should be there. And whatever the reason is, but at least they say, we know we should be there. We know we should be there. And all those of us that are here, we say, we know we should be here, as hard as it is. But how many of us are fortunate enough to dream even bigger than we know we should be here? We came back to Eretz Yisrael for so much more than fighting over this piece of land and this piece of land. We came back to Eretz Yisrael to build the Beis HaMikdash, Ki Beisi Beis Tefillah Yikar L'chol Ha'amim. Our coming back here is so much bigger than justifying the existence of Nefesh B'Nefesh. As much as I'm a chassid of Nefesh B'Nefesh, it's so much bigger than that. When do I have a chance to connect to that which I can't even see it? So Rabbi Shlomo says, again, you see there is a holiness I'm connected to that even while I am evil, meaning even when I'm not living so holy, I'm aware of it. I'm conscious that it exists. I may not live up to it, but I know it exists. So I have this whole conflict between good and evil. But after I overcome this conflict, after I get out of the good and evil geschäft, and by the way, good and evil, I wrote in here, what is good and evil in this world? It's the whole mishigas of tree of knowledge, right or wrong, good and bad. After I get rid of that, I discover something much greater that is in front of me. And this is Mashiach ben David. So you see, friends, there is this kind of connection I'm hungry for, but once I connect to it, I realize something much bigger, meaning as follows. And I pray this is like what Yaakov, the kavanas of us understanding what Yaakov was telling Esau. Yaakov was telling Esau, you see my children, you know what they're going to bring to the world? You see these children, all the shvatim, you see what all these children are bringing to the world? They're going to show you exactly what each person has to go through until Mashiach comes. Each person is going to show you here everything that a Jew has to go through in this world. I'm counterbalancing all the cynicism and sarcasm that you place in the world, and I'm showing you, look how big you could dream. You could be like me, running away from place to place, being homeless for so many years, and while I'm homeless, I built such a beautiful home. That's wondrous. That while you're homeless, you built such a beautiful home, which is what Yaakov Avinu was doing, which is what Jewish people have been doing for 2,000 years. That while we're homeless, while we didn't have Eretz Yisrael, while we still don't have Beis HaMikdash, look what we've done while being so homeless in the world. That must force us to realize that we not could afford to dream bigger. We must dream bigger. We must think bigger. We must dream bigger. We must look at our own marriages and think and dream bigger. This is not to belittle the petty stuff you go through in life. En ma la'asot, it's still olam hazeh. But if you don't believe that you have the chance to be that couple that could really heal the whole world, then you're really kind of looking up to God and saying, that match you made, I don't know. It really wasn't the most, it really wasn't as high as maybe I could have been. And alavai, this notion of dreaming bigger and of remembering our secret should be the real refuah for Am Yisrael right now, because unfortunately, like I said, we've been forced to not be able to dream big because we're so worried every second. So I think that dreaming bigger means that it can even be bigger than the way that God wrote us in His Torah. Maybe it doesn't have to be shlav by shlav by shlav. Maybe it doesn't have to be that we come back to Israel. First you appoint a king. Then you wipe out evil. Then you build the Beis HaMikdash. One time someone came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe and the guy said, I want to tell the Rebbe that I was by the Rebbe a few years ago and the Rebbe gave me a bracha that I should have such and such hatzlacha and the Mashiach should come. So I'm here to tell the Rebbe that Baruch Hashem, I really have had that much hatzlacha in my business or my yeshiva, whatever it was. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe looks at him and says to him, But I'm still concerned with the second thing that I told you. He said, what is it? And I also said that Mashiach should come. He says, I want to know. And the Rebbe looked at him like an innocent little kid and said, when is Mashiach going to come? If your business did good, so I just want to know now, when is Mashiach going to come? So the guy, this Rav, looks at him and says, well, the Torah says, Hayayim im bekolis yishma'u. It says, today, if you listen to God's voice. That's when, he says, my opinion is that, when we all listen to God, then Mashiach will come. And then the Rebbe looked at him and says, why are you limiting God? God can do anything. God can also bring Mashiach before every single person listens to his voice. God is God. And he forced that person, that very, very frum Yid, he forced him to stop limiting God and stop limiting ourselves and stop limiting the way we think. We're in such a dire need to think bigger and dream bigger. And maybe it doesn't have to be shlav by shlav, scene after scene, episode after episode. It could be that the desire to want a king on us that will extend our borders of Kedusha, together with the desire to wipe out evil, will then bring to the desire to taste that huge, huge concept called Mashiach coming. It can happen, like the Gemara says, keheref ayin, like a blink of an eye. Don't limit God. And let's just take a promise unto ourselves that we'll stop limiting the godliness that's within us as well. Bezrat Hashem. All right, Shekharach everyone, and we'll see you next Monday night, Bezrat Hashem. Oh wait, Baruch, sorry, I promised you a nigga. I'm sorry. You're right.